Hey guys, I'm Mr. Cobas. I am a communications researcher who is very good at communicating via video, but more recently I've gotten into the communication of finances and art within blockchain technology and the cryptocurrency sphere. So I got invited here to talk about NFTs and crypto.
Yes. So, welcome and thank you for being here. So, let's just get started.
I would say that everything is just always around me, and so okay, the way I describe it actually is that my mind lives on the edges of the metaverse, so it's like where things are being built for communication. I like
Mm-hmm.
to think that I'm there trying to see what's going on. Like like I was just thinking, like this morning I was like, oh, the way everything is so gamified, right?
Yeah.
And then I was thinking about the metaverse and like how time will be gamified. I was already thinking about in Fortnite, it is kind of already gamified because you go and you chop down a tree and they tell you, oh, you chop down 750 trees, chop down another 250 so that you could gain 15,000 experience points. So then in your mind, you're already like, I have to spend this amount of time. So that's somewhere that my mind rests. So when you ask me, it's like, what do you do? It's like, so your career is centered around video. It's like, well, yeah, because like I know how to communicate
Yeah.
through video, but it's like
But
my
you've
mind is,
expanded on that.
yes.
And you brought up so many good points. So, I'm going to try to break them down because I think they all deserve some expanding. Let's start with you acknowledging your experience at FSU and being able to say, okay, I'm not going to have a cookie cutter college experience. I'm going to have to kind of like create my own path because usually students are told, okay, so you're going to pick your college, you're going to go through the process, you're going to be there for 4 years, maybe less, maybe a little more, and you're going to create this life for yourself. And at the end of the 4 years, they're going to give you a little paper and off you go on your way. So tell me what that process was like.
Well, being a first generation Cuban American, it was very difficult for my family to grasp the concept of the firstborn in the family not being at home. So that was the most difficult part. But then after we got over that, it was just a matter of moving, and and that's where I started realizing that life is just the same thing over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
It felt no different going to FSU, and it really, there. I mean, obviously the environment is completely different. It's like you're going to a different physical location, so things will obviously be different. But then it was just like you go to a bar, and it's like the bar is the same. There's people drinking here. There's people drinking
Right.
everywhere. Like you can do the same thing anyway. And now like for better or for worse, COVID has made people realize that you can literally do the same thing everywhere. So
That's a good
being
point.
yeah no being in the video world, it really felt like I went from like 100 to 0 rather than 0 to 100 when I went to FSU. So then like it was literally like within I think like a semester and a half, I already was my mind was already on leaving. But then I made friends, and it got more difficult until one day I just kind of like snapped, and I was like, I didn't snap. I was just like, I want to leave. Like I'm wasting my
You
time.
didn't conform.
Yeah, I didn't conform, and I realized I wasn't going to, so I was like, I have to leave. And so I came back to Miami Dade and stayed there for 2 semesters, got my AA, and then went to FIU, and then went to FIU again. So
Right.
so the experience was more. It was I guess the first battle in adulthood, if we want to like maybe analyze this from like a story perspective. We're on a literary magazine podcast, so uh it was maybe the first hero's journey circle closing. Like I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. It was your first hurdle,
Yes.
your first encounter with the crossroads and figuring out what the best decision would be.
Yeah, so maybe to get into NFTs, another crossroads. So when I was in crypto already, and not so I guess it's your podcast, so maybe we
No.
well well because like, it's like if I bring in crypto, then you're okay. We're gonna put aside the technicalities of blockchain technology, and maybe you have a basic understanding of what Bitcoin and Ethereum and these cryptos are. They're just digital tokens used by people to verify financial transactions on the internet. That's a very basic explanation of what crypto does. That this technology was then adopted for digital art or digital files so that you could verify the authenticity of a picture or of a song or a video. And that's just what NFTs are. NFTs, and the term NFT stands for non-fungible token, and that's just a fancy way of saying a unique token.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a unique token that you can't make a copy of and that you can see directly on the blockchain. Yeah, that was a very butchered definition of it. But so when I was in crypto and I saw this and I had already heard of NFTs, but then I arrive in the space and I'm on Twitter and I see a bunch of monkeys and I start asking questions and I see the community of people and what they're talking about. And they're talking sort of how I said I'm on the edges of the metaverse. It was just making a lot of sense to me as people were coming together over art and branding and creators being able to express themselves in an open and transparent way in an open and transparent market, right? And DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations, basically big companies in a decentralized manner where individuals are able to vote on how the larger group functions, kind of like a country or a club or something like that. And I saw all these things being built and I was like, this is at the crossroads of everything that I've ever studied in academia, because it's talking about all these ways of communication coming together. And then in my career, because it's media production and producing content. So talking about crossroads, it's like right. NFTs is literally was and will be at the crossroads of everything that I've studied and done career-wise forever. I mean, we see it developing now. What I talked about before, video, audio, text, and still images, that's what I called it. Video, audio, text, and still images. Those are the 4 elements of the internet. So every content that we consume on the internet is either video, audio, text, or still image. That's changing now because of VR and AR. But then let's just say XR.
Wait, what's VR?
Virtual reality.
Oh, duh.
Yeah, yes. And then augmented reality.
Okay.
AR. So it's like Pokemon Go or the Snapchat filters, what you see like when you look on Instagram. And it's
okay, yeah.
That's augmented reality. Then virtual reality is put the goggles on and you're in another world. So then that's another medium. But then the way I start thinking about it, and I haven't written this down specifically yet, would then be that is like the product or the summation of video, audio, text, and still images. You still need these 4 elements to then create this world, because that virtual world is created of these 4 elements. So I haven't figured out exactly how to frame that relationship between the actual digital 3D world and that's, but that relationship exists.
Okay, so how would you explain to someone that's not familiar with any of this and they're asking themselves, well, how do you make money with this stuff? How do you make a living with this?
Yes. So if you're not a creator, it's probably still too early for you.
Okay.
But I'm on the side of school of thought that everyone's a creator deep down. You just have to find what you like to create specifically. So if I mean, you're a writer, so you're like, if you're asking me, how could a writer get involved in starting to create NFTs? I tell my friend who's a writer. Yes,
that's a good question.
I would say you should write a short story every week, and that short story, you should mint it as an NFT and start selling it as your author. And you make, so to take my friend, for example, he is on draft 2 of a book. I told him, when you finish that draft, maybe you do one more draft, and then you mint it as an NFT and you sell 500 editions, only those 500. And I was actually thinking about this on the car ride over. Edgar Allan Poe wrote all these short stories and then died, right? Mm-hmm. And then the short stories didn't become popular until after. So, like, how cool, and like, there's probably more that we just never found. So it's like, writers start writing their stories now. My friend writes the book. He sells 500 editions of it, right? And 500 get sold. But then over time, people lose their passwords. They lose their wallets. There's 30 surviving copies, right? And then after he releases the book, he does a short story every week for 3 years, right? Now he has a collection of 300 short stories. How much, given that he gets popular and he puts in the work and the dominoes fall in order and everything goes the way that I think they would go if he were to do something like this, how much would those 25 editions of the first book that Stephen Mordilis ever wrote, how much would they be worth?
I'm assuming a lot.
Yeah, a lot. And then the thing is, normally in today's age, you publish this book and then it's like you make $15 off this book, right? Mm-hmm. And that's it. But then 30 years from now, Ana Menendez becomes extremely popular, and there's a signed, or not even signed, but it's just the first edition book of Ana Menendez. There's no benefit for Ana Menendez to create more value to the person who owns the first book, because when that person as a collector collects the book and 50 years from now sells it for $10,000, Ana Menendez gains nothing from that transaction. So as a creator, you're able to code into NFTs that you get 2% off every book. And now, so as a collector, you're like, I want to create value so that people want to collect my book. So like maybe people who buy Stephen's first book, they all get to visit him once a year at his lake house, something like that. So then people want to. And so then Stephen's lake house yearly visit becomes like a thing within his community, and people want to join, and then things are built out from that dynamic.
Okay, so let's see if I understood it correctly. You're not just creating a product, but you're also creating, like you said, content and an experience attached to this product, so it becomes intrinsically more valuable than just, here's a book.
Well, smart people in the space are doing that.
Okay.
Right? You can just create the book and put it on OpenSea and that's it, and just sell it. And just create the product and sell it. And that's what most people come into the space thinking, it's just a product. I don't have to worry about the community behind it, because they're not thinking about the implications of the dynamics created by the technology. With blockchain, if everyone were to buy this book on the blockchain, I could see every single person who owns this book. So then 5 years from now, Ana Menendez writes another book, and a special artist designs the cover. And as a gift to the people who first purchased her first book ever, she can airdrop to everyone a signed copy of the artwork from her new book. Not the new book, but a piece of artwork that then those people, right, if now they own Ana Menendez's first book, and Ana Menendez goes on to be something crazy, and there's only 500 editions, how much is, because we're on the internet, edition 69 of Ana Menendez's first 500 books worth? More or less than edition 24. And there's even like economics that goes into the like collectible atmosphere of like what NFTs would create. I mean, we're getting really specific on like a specific, like on a use cases, but for writers, I mean, you create a world where characters exist, and each character could be could be NFTs. I mean, there's so many things to think about.
Right. So would you say that that's maybe the future for writers and even readers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yes.
Oh my goodness. So, okay, a bit of a stupid question.
No.
If, let's say, Ana Menendez, she publishes this book as an NFT, it would only exist digitally? I wouldn't be able to hold the book in my hands?
Okay, so there's ways to approach this. Theoretically, there could be a way so that there is a digital and physical version of it.
Okay.
Yeah, there could be both.
Okay, good.
That would create a whole different dynamic as well, because then there'd be like, oh, the person who owns edition 69, the digital version, and edition 69, the physical version. And sometimes the bundle will be the physical and the digital version. Or a dynamic that could be fun there would be, oh, you only get the physical version if you burn the digital version. So that creates scarcity amongst and that's actually what...
And exclusivity.
So there's actually a project called The Punks Comic, It was a crowdsourced comic book, and it gets really crazy. They crowdsource a comic, and it's like one of my biggest regrets. Everyone's laughing at me right now. It was $500, and I looked at it, and I could have just put it on my card, right? It wasn't even crypto. It's like you could have just, or I was at House of Keep, whatever. It was like $500. I had it at the time. I could have done it, and so you buy the comic book, and they give you 3 options. You could burn it to get the physical version, stake it, or
What does
just
that mean?
Stake it means you sign a contract saying I'm not doing anything to it, and then
Okay.
you gain something for doing that, right?
Okay.
That's staking. Then you could have burned it for a physical one, staked it, like locked it up, like you're not doing anything to it, or just hold it. And each one of those gave you like something in return, right? You burn it for the physical, you could stake it, and I'm not in the project, so I'm not familiar with it, but you stake it and you get something as a benefit for locking it up, and then you get stuff for just holding it in your wallet. And now it's like the comics themselves are worth, I think, like 15 Ethereum, which is ridiculous. It's like $45,000. And then
Wait, each comic?
because it's the first edition comic from that series that has created this whole universe of
Wow.
it's like buying it's like imagine buying the first Marvel comic.
Superman. I know that's not Marvel, but that's my guy.
No,
So like the first
Superman edition comic, but it's like you're not even just buying the first edition Superman comic, you're funding Superman, the Superman edition.
Okay, I get it now.
And so all the people who own the first edition are, in my eyes, angel investors, and they all not only have the comic, but they've gotten airdrops like Beanie Maxi, which is the creator, or at least the spokesperson, or who I see on Twitter that is representing them.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, this guy has created like well over, in my opinion, 6 figures, like going into the 5 to 10 year range, like well over 6 figures of value for anyone who bought that $500 comic book.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm not joking.
That's
No, it's unreal. It's
that's
really
insane.
Yes.
In the best way.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes.
So who's the audience? Who are the readers?
Us.
So
People.
like the younger generation?
I wouldn't say younger. I would just say people whose minds are on the edges of the metaverse right now.
Yeah, I'm like, you're gonna have to like create a path for me, because
no.
I'm like, you're here and I'm like 10 continents
Oh yeah, no.
like behind you.
Yeah, no. It's going to get to a point where this is going to be in front of your face on the New York Times. Like it will get there. Like,
Right.
And you're a literary magazine. There's going to be, I mean, books. Like there as we speak, people are building these things because they know being like what happened to Blockbuster, what Netflix did to them. They don't want. No one wants what Netflix did to Blockbuster to happen to them, right? And Netflix knows that it's like, oh, like the like YouTube knows, like the Twitter knows, like that's why they're all working so fast. It's like why you see Instagram posting, oh, looking for NFT developers and smart contract developers, because they know if they don't adopt and embrace decentralization and what this space means for creators and for people, they're gonna get blockbustered. And
Right.
they're not the only ones. Like I wouldn't doubt. Well, then we're gonna get off topic if I start talking about banking.
It's okay.
Well, it's like the whole banking atmosphere is so fun fact is like 1/3 of all the money that exists in the world was printed last year. 1/3 of all the money
That's a lot.
that exists in the world was printed last year.
That's
For better or for worse, it's just a fact.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
1/3.
that's a lot. That's
Yes.
a lot to digest.
Yes. 1/3. And they're
to-
talking about printing another 20% going into next year for next year's budget. So then that would put us at 50, like, another
Yeah.
20% on top of that 30%. It's like, that's a lot of inflation that
Exactly.
people don't want to talk about.
It's a reality.
Yes.
And
But that's a whole nother thing. And so what I'm saying is that humans need to find a way to store their value in ways that are not easily manipulated by people who are not themselves. Like no one should be able to dictate the value of, like, you work 10 hours right now, and at $10 an hour, that's $100. Gas just doubled. So literally to fill up your tank now versus a year ago is literally an extra hour of your time.
Yeah.
To fill up your tank. It's an extra hour of your time. They just robbed you of an hour.
You're absolutely right. And that's just gas. If you factor in,
you don't have to factor in everything else that's up 30%. Meanwhile, CPI is only indicating 4.5% to 5% of transitory inflation.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, this is off topic. It's not because NFTs are derived from crypto and blockchain technology, which was meant to solve the financial like smoke screens that they throw up so that we can't tell what they're doing. They can't do that anymore on the blockchain because it's literally there. It's code.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. So if you involve your money, your finances into this, that gives you more freedom, right? Like you said, it makes you more.
Yes, you leave the control of the Federal Reserve and the U.S. dollar. Theoretically, right? I'm not like, right?
You're not an anarchist.
I'm not an anarchist, but it does. I would just say it's a hedge against inflation.
Right.
Right. Any smart person is not, right? You ask billionaires, they don't have their money in cash. They have it in the S&P 500 or some hard assets. They don't, or property. Like it's never liquid. Like having money in a savings.
Never under the mattress.
Yeah, definitely not under the mattress.
Yeah.
But. So yes, I would say you definitely leave the constraints of like the Federal Reserve and the traditional or the centralized financial sector, but like I wouldn't if you don't understand, I would implore you or like ask for you to do more research before just jumping in, because I actually don't like people who ask. Right, first question is like, oh, how can I make the most money? Right, when like the most popular question nowadays is
okay, I won't ask that then.
No. Well, it should be not how to make money, but how can we improve? Why are we even building this in the first place? Right, this is why, to create a fair and open system. But when the people who are jumping in saying like, oh, which NFT can I buy to make the most money? It's like. That type of attitude is what got us to have the financial system in the way that we don't like in the first place. So it's like, the question is like, how can we adopt this technology and build from it to then better the community as a whole for everyone involved, right? So then coming on this, like your podcast, the idea in my head was like, this would be good, not because I want people to make money, but because it, if 3 people that hear this podcast go off and do their research and join a community and are able to go and build from that, that's the goal, right? There's people that are gonna jump in and buy Dogecoin because it's funny, and then think that they're gonna become millionaires overnight, when that's not how you do these things. Like Dogecoin, like the guy that became a millionaire off Dogecoin made a very good bet when no one was talking about Dogecoin. Like maybe like. And not to start talking about Dogecoin, but I'm just saying it as a meme of people who like just jump in and think like the people who are buying Dogecoin are the same people who are going off and buying like the NFTs that people want to go and make a lot of money off. Not to trash anyone's specific investments, okay? I'll just leave it at that, right?
Okay.
I love Dogecoin, okay? I love Dogecoin. Don't hate on me. No, because the Dogecoin people are now like.
I understand what you're saying. Do your research and really find something that is more than just is going to make me a lot of money. I get it. And I can see your philosophy background coming into play, because you're advocating for something that's a little bit more substantial than just making a lot of money, which is important, right? We all need money. But I get your point, and I have to agree. There's no arguing against that.
Yeah, I like to think that if you're doing your proper research, like if you're gonna invest in an NFT project, I say the first thing that you look at is the aesthetic. Do you like looking at that piece of art? Or in the case, if it's a text or a poem, like do you like the way it sounds and it reads, right? Aesthetics. Then community and roadmap. Where is this project going? Where will this be in 5 years? How can, like, what type of community is fostered in it? Who are in the community? How can I join? And how will it bring me benefit, as well as how can I as an individual bring benefit to this community? Then the third thing would be how how much authenticity can I generate for myself by joining this community and this project? Like, there are some NFT projects that you join, and like that, for better or for worse, you have like this blue check mark that it's like, okay, like when Visa bought a CryptoPunk, it's not like they bought a CryptoPunk because they thought it looked cool. They probably thought it looked cool, but then also they knew immediately in the crypto and NFT community there was gonna create a ripple and a wave
Right.
effect throughout where everyone's like, oh my god, Visa bought a crypto.
It must be good.
Not well. It's not that it must be good. It's that the it's like the Michael Jordan moment. It's like when it crosses that Ninja moment when Ninja played with Drake on Fortnite and everyone heard about Fortnite immediately. It's that moment when it sort of just scrapes the mainstream, and then some people like jump in and they're able to like it brings more people into the space, and it's just scratching the surface still. We're not even like the full on tidal wave. That's like the craziest thing to think about is in August, OpenSea has made over $1 billion in August.
Wow.
Which is they're like, let's just say, the Amazon of NFTs. $1 billion in August.
That's incredible.
They have only around 200,000 active accounts on it. 200,000.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so we're early. So I'm saying when the big tidal wave comes, we have no like when everything is an NFT. Everything can be NFT'd. Everything will be NFT'd. Any smart person and every brand is now talking to people and asking people, how can I get my business into NFTs? Any smart business is doing that, right? We're in 2001 and the World Wide Web is being developed and YouTube is going to come out in 5 years. So it's like, which companies will adopt the decentralized YouTube or Facebook when they come out in the next 5 to 10 years?
So would you say that things like printed books will become obsolete?
Are they not already obsolete?
That dang. Oh,
Well,
that breaks my heart.
No, there's gonna
But
be
it is a reality. Yeah, you're right.
there's gonna be a niche, and that niche will probably be very. It's gonna be like owning fancy wine bottles or owning like something really old,
Yeah.
like fancy cars.
So you
in a
think they're
garage.
going to transition into this digitally encrypted world, and that's how people are going to consume the written word?
I think it's already like that.
Yeah, and you're
Like,
probably right because
Other than people who read, it's like all the other text that you're reading is like now coming from like Twitter and Instagram captions. That's where you're consuming text content. It's like people who even like read the news. It's like that's the only extent of text, or like the BuzzFeed article.
right.
Stories. I mean,
So they're going to get blockbustered, or they already did.
Barnes and Noble got kindled. They got kindled. They did. I know. It's crazy.
Oh my
I know.
god.
There's something about holding a book that I like, but there's also something about like not having to carry a book. That's nice too. Like I don't have keys. I have keys. I don't have a wallet. I only have
Right,
this.
because you have your
Yeah, and then eventually I'll have like a thing on like I don't have to carry a key, and then my car won't have a key either. Just like
right.
And eventually it's just going to be my glasses, and I won't even have to. I'll have my phone in my pocket, but then my glasses will be where all my interactions will take place. That's in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's interesting to say the least. To go back to let's see how all of this interacts with the younger generations, right? Because we all agree people need to read more, right? They need to be exposed to art, ideas,
Yes.
logic,
Yes.
to be able to get away from like how you said what impacted you, this utilitarian
Wait, are kids
ideas.
the ones watching this?
Huh?
Who like what's the demographic for who watches this?
We do have some kids.
Okay.
That listen to us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their
So
parents.
yeah. So
are sharing the
NFTs.
podcast.
NFTs are like buying Fortnite skins. Like, the same way that you own. So like season 1 School Trooper, how much are those accounts worth? Because they're the only accounts that have that skin from Halloween from season 1. Those accounts are worth like over $1,000, like a couple $1,000. Yeah, for
Really?
that Fortnite skin because it only came out that year. Then they came out with a version 2 that was slightly different, but everyone knows it's not the OG version
It's
1.
not the
If you see the
original.
Yeah, like if you see the OG running around, it's like that kid was around like in 2017, like when no one was buying skins. Like that, those kids are the angel investors. Like it's
That kid
crazy.
was a visionary.
Yeah, no, and yeah, Fortnite is going to be huge because Fortnite devoted, or not Fortnite, Epic Games, which is the parent company, just devoted like $10 billion to building out the metaverse. And so I think Fortnite will be one of the first games that comes out with like a secondary item shop, like a secondary market where now the kid won't have to sell his entire Skull Trooper or like account. He could just sell the one skin on the secondary market, and then Fortnite will make a cut from the sale, right? Why wouldn't that happen?
Okay, wait. But the kid that sold, they're not getting real money.
And I can't. I'm not a fortune teller, so I don't know how the economics of the Fortnite metaverse will play with the Ethereum blockchain and these blockchains. But if it happens the way that I think should happen, which is the like a direct bridge into Ethereum and the blockchain world, then yeah, they would be getting real money. Like real money. Like a lot of real, especially if they have a season 1 Skull Trooper, like a lot of money.
Wow.
Yeah, especially like being like if you're the first sale, that'd be crazy because it's like things on NFT is all the questions that you can ask now. It's like, who owned who bought the first ever iPhone, ever? We can look that up if it were on the blockchain. Like who was the 69th person, right, to buy the iPhone? Right, we're on the internet, so I have to say that number. So it's like who can like we can look these things up. Like the 42,069th person, we can see which iPhone that is, and that iPhone would probably cost more than the 42,068th iPhone, just because it's that number. Those things come into play. Like there's so many more, and it's like when I sell my iPhone 11 next year on eBay because I get the new iPhone, Apple doesn't make a cut. But
That's
then
true.
with NFTs, they would make a 2% cut off my transaction, which is like a hyper capitalistic thing. But it's like, sure, the big companies are going to do it, but it's like that technology is also available to the little guys like us. Like when
Right.
you write your book, and again, you write a book, or just if you're a writer, you start writing a short story every week and you mint those on OpenSea every week. There is money involved to start up. You probably need like a quarter or a half Ethereum to get started so that you could start the minting
How
process.
much is that in real money?
0.25, so it'd be like 500 to 1500
Okay.
to start the process of getting of putting them on the blockchain. But then once I think the biggest expense is making the collection, and I think there's gasless options. Again, go on YouTube. I implore you to do research into the space. If any of this sounds interesting. And to bring your question about like the younger generation, when I talk to my nephew, so like I own a Bored Ape, I was telling him about the apes, and I told him, I was like, as I was explaining it to him, he started explaining it back to me. He was like, owning an NFT is like owning an old car, and then only the OGs who bought the first cars are able to own the one of the 10,000 because they're the OGs. Like they were like he was explaining the concept of like that to me. So I was like, kids understand it, and when they see games like Sandbox, like where it's Minecraft, Fortnite, and RuneScape / World of Warcraft all in one game, where not only can you build experiences like in Fortnite, like in Minecraft, but then that world is part of that little plot that you can build on is then part of a larger open world where it's a massive like multiplayer online world where people can walk around and go on your land and interact with your experience. Like it's literally
Right.
like World of Warcraft or like RuneScape, like where you can like buy the land right next to that big attraction where 150,000 people a month go to that specific place. You could own the plot of land that is like 2 blocks or like a block down from that. And and the analytics say that through your plot of land, it's an average of 25 to 30,000 people walk every month through your land to get to this bigger experience that's there.
Right.
Like Atari, the Smurfs, The Walking Dead. Like The Walking Dead has an area in this game. Like how many thousands of people going on into the future will walk to the Walking Dead land to experience the Walking Dead game, where they're gonna have missions, quests, and like things that you can battle and then gain items from, and then these items in a real world game right now, like Fortnite and Call of Duty, you get the item and you can't do anything with it. But in this game and more games that will be developed just like this, you can then they're NFTs. You could see them on the blockchain. You can sell them and buy them for real money. So there's going to be people. There's going to be a quest that is really hard and that you need this one very specific item to finish that quest. But every time you finish that quest, they give you a special drink that you have to drink to level up. And there's going to be a guy that all he does is sit there and battle the thing and sell that potion on the secondary market for people who need the sword that he got through another really long mission that he has to go through another really long mission, right? And so now all he could do is sit at home and fight that monster over and over again with that sword, get the ether drop or whatever it is, and sell it on the secondary market for $20 a bottle or $50 a bottle or like whatever. And then that's all he does. Because it's play to earn.
Right.
It shifts from...
So...
Yeah.
Okay, another stupid question. Let's say you're involved in all of this. How does that translate to real money?
Okay.
On let's
you mean,
say,
how does it okay.
Like a monthly, do you have money coming in on a monthly basis? How does that translate into your everyday life?
Okay, you're saying how to get from magic internet money to U.S.
Right,
monopoly money.
Let's say I'm involved. Yes. Okay, I have my NFTs and my all my other stuff. All my ducks are in a row. Now, how do I get from all of these assets that I have into translating that into my everyday life?
Okay. You have your Metamask wallet, which is your
the
wallet.
Heck does that?
Yeah, so your Metamask wallet is the decentralized. It's just a fancy. It's
Can
a
you make a dictionary for us?
There's going to be a lot of terms. Yeah. Well, there's actually a post I saw the other day, and I'll forward it to you so that you can post it. But there's a forward that has all the key terms and everything. So, but a Metamask wallet is just a wallet that you have on your computer, and that wallet contains all your NFTs and all your Ethereum and all your crypto. You could send all your, if you had pictures, you would have to sell the pictures for a currency like Ethereum or USDC or a crypto. If you have a JPEG, there's no liquidity, meaning you could send it your NFT. I can send you a picture, but it's not like you can spend that right now. Probably will get to a point that you will be able to spend, as crazy as it sounds, spend those assets, exchange that value. You can already kind of do that, but it'll become easier to do those things. But so if you have a picture, you would have to sell the picture or convert all those assets, sell the assets into a currency like Ethereum. Then in your MetaMask, let's say you have one Ethereum. You send that one Ethereum to your Coinbase, which is an app. It's like Robinhood, but for crypto.
Okay.
So you send it to your Coinbase, and then in Coinbase, you sell for USD. So if you have one Ethereum, they'll give you right now $3,600, and then you transfer to bank, and you can do instant for a 1% fee or for free, but 3 to 5 business days through a bank transfer, and then it's in your account in minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. So to go from Ethereum to US dollar monopoly money, it would probably take 10 money. Yes, I had to get in there. It's $10 or 10 minutes, 20 minutes to get from there to there. Now, if you have over $15,000, you could do an instant transaction of $15,000 to your bank account. Anything over $15,000, you would have to wait 3 to 5 business days. So,
wow.
If you have $100,000, you could get $15,000 instantly, and then $75,000 or $85,000 3 to 5 business days from now. And again, it should be, why not all instant? It's literally digits on a number. I've seen people transfer ridiculous amounts of money instantly. But then something like what might seem crazy, like someone wants to buy 2 Ethereum right now.
Mm-hmm.
2 Ethereum, each Ethereum is $3,600. So that's like almost a $7,000, like let's just say $8,000 purchase. Like he wasn't able to do that easily. He had to call his bank and say, "Hey, this isn't fraud. I need permission to spend my own money." That's like really, I think that's really stupid.
I mean, yeah, totally. Because
I need permission to spend my money? No. And then he calls me back. He's like, "I'm gonna try it again, but I don't know if it's gonna work." He tries it and it doesn't work. And I'm like, dude, call your bank and tell them that you want to spend your money. There's no reason that you are not able to spend your value. You worked for that value. You must be able to spend it. Tell them that you're that. I was like, dude, like I'm so fed up with banks. Like it's like, I don't know. I think it's unfair to the disadvantaged, and I think that's what crypto, and I don't think that's what a lot of people are talking about. It's like crypto is not even really going to affect us. People are like, oh, like why would I need crypto? Like I have my bank and I can do this. It's like, but the people in Venezuela that don't have good banking systems, and in Africa that don't have access, and even like in some countries in the Caribbean, like
mm-hmm.
these are the countries that not everyone has an ID and a bank and a social or whatever their country's version of that is, and they can't go to the local bank because they need X, Y, and Z. All you need to participate in crypto and NFTs and in this decentralized economy is a phone and internet access. That's all you need.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, it makes complete sense why this is growing so quickly. Um okay, you answered like a lot of questions that I had just in those statements right there. My goodness, this is like a whole different world.
Yes. It's the same world. It's just extremely it's metaphysics was an aspect of philosophy I really enjoyed because it talks about free will and all this stuff. So I think this is just getting down to the very meta level of everything.
For sure. Do you think this stuff should be taught in schools?
What, crypto?
Yeah,
Like
all of this.
I think I think I
I see your face.
parents should care more about what's being taught to their kids. I think that's more important than
For sure.
than trying to like say, oh, something should be taught in school. I think parents should just be the main teachers, not really. School is just like, sure, the kid needs to know how to add 2 + 2, but like there's I think other things that they should be taught that there's things that you can't decide for everyone to be taught or not. It's like
Right.
and then unfortunately some people just have to learn on their own. So
Yeah, that's true.
if I will say there's one thing that needs to be taught in school, I would urge everyone to go to digitalliteracy.mrcobas.com and watch the video on digital literacy and why digital literacy is important for our kids. And not just for our kids, but for society at large.
For sure. Definitely. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And to bring it back to academia, since we're talking about schools, you mentioned earlier that you felt when you got into college that your education wasn't fully complete. Tell me about that.
I wouldn't say that it wasn't fully complete, but it wasn't my brain wasn't being stimulated by the curriculum at Florida State because I felt like they were talking about like the rule of thirds in video and what colors go with what and how to place things. A lot of theoretical things that are somewhat important, but things that I felt I had already grasped and concepts I had grasped. So that, I mean, like I went from being hands-on, having a camera in my hand like 5 out of 7 days of week, to literally picking up a camera once every 3 weeks, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, like it was like that's why I say it's like going from 100 to 0. So it's like if I'm really good at communicating via video, and it wasn't until I got back to Miami, I went to philosophy and then met Rick when he walked in and we started talking about video, right? And it was only through philosophy being able to start and have conversations and understand like the flow of like, and maybe oral communication I also got really good at through philosophy. So it's like the way I described it in my thesis was first we learned how to make sounds probably. There's no history indicating that because we didn't know how to keep track of that. So we probably learned how to speak to each other first. Then we learned how to draw pictures on caves. Then we learned how to draw little pictures that represent the sounds that we say, that then with other little pictures form kind of like big pictures
Right.
that we call words.
A thought.
And the words, and we were able to write those down, and that created text. And then and then eventually we learned how to record audio, so that created audio. And then we learned how to take pictures, and that was still images, which still images and paintings are the same. But now we understood how to capture light. And then after learning how to capture light in still images, we learned how to capture motion in video and use these mediums to communicate. So again, that's what I think should be. The thing is, I think that like the communications department of like a university needs to encompass audio, video, text, and still images. Like all of these should be part of the same one. Like or at least, and you can see it in my digital literacy video. Like it's all about creating a digital literacy, but then also a digital fluency. Like literacy is being able to understand the concept. It's like the grammar of like why semicolons versus why the period versus why quotations, and like all these things are like video. Like why, like and for like video and pictures and audio, like frame rates and frame sizes and all the grammar aspects, because it's like a way I described it is like when you see someone using like a story and you see like a boomer using a story and you could see that they didn't really use it correctly, and you're like, they only didn't, and you could tell that they didn't use it correctly because they just don't understand the grammar aspect, right? Because like you see that like some things are misspelled and like not proper punctuation. You could just like it just looks off. It's the same thing for video and pictures and those things. Like when the picture is just slightly tilted and the line of horizon is off, that's kind of like a grammar aspect. And so it was these concepts that were being taught to me again in academia, like at FSU. And I was like, I already understand the grammar aspects of video. I'm wasting my time. So then I went to political science, and what I found interesting was utilitarianism, not Russia and whatever, or Iran. So
Yeah, let's talk about that.
what? Russia and Iran?
No. How you went from, being such an artistic person and expressing yourself through video, through shifting to political science, because that's not. Usually those two don't really go together unless you're thinking about like news and people that create that kind of content.
Yeah.
But that's not an linked all the time.
Yeah. No, I'm just extremely expressive person, so I don't like hiding what I think, and so it gets me in trouble with people who are politically aligned on either side. Sometimes I say something that outrages one side of the aisle, and then something that outrages the other side of the aisle. But it's just because I'm naturally a person that likes to say what I think, and I'm not afraid to defend, because I don't think I'm a bad person. I don't think I think bad things. So
Right.
I'm not afraid to say, hey, I think this is wrong, or I think this is right, and so that attitude, I get into college around the time of the Hillary and Trump like 2016 election. I'm like, this is cool. So then, and fun. So I just joined political. And I'm not getting anything out of video production, like media production. So I might as well this sounds fun. So I joined political science and take international relations for 1 semester, and that's where I found utilitarianism. And then I was like, it's really interesting that someone could argue that it's better to save like a burning painting rather than to save a child. It's just funny that could be an argument that could be made. That
That's
makes
even
sense.
a thought, right?
No, that could make sense. That could make sense. And I just
Yeah.
thought that's funny, because again, I think like I maybe controversy is funny, like comedy and these things that I find amusing. So I thought it's amusing that someone could use this logic in this way, and it still be theoretically correct logic to use. I thought that was funny. So then I found philosophy. And then I actually was talking to someone, and they were like, a really good friend, and they were like, oh, I have you figured out. We were having an argument. He was like, I have you figured out. You used the Socratic method. This was back at FSU. And I was like, I have no idea. I have no idea what that means. And he was like, you just keep asking questions and questions and questions until you get me to get to the point that you wanted to make anyway. And I was like, yeah. And then I did a little bit of research. And I was like, that's it. And then so that when I got back to Dade, I was like, I joined philosophy. And then I joined philosophy, and literally, it was just, I fell in love immediately with being able to just, again, my mind is on the edges of the metaverse. So within school, I was always like, so
You're
like
constrained.
and I'm like, God, like I don't like this at all. So I
Yeah.
was like,
It's difficult. It's difficult to to be in a box all the
yes,
time. You know, because I get it. Sometimes it's necessary, right? Like you have to learn the box in order to be able to not be in the box. But there comes a point in time where the box is just constraining. It doesn't serve a purpose anymore, especially in education. I had a really difficult time understanding that as a student and as a teacher. Um, why why are we again putting these constraints on students? It makes no sense. Um, and I don't know if that's an American uh, school thing, because I don't think it's just a Western school thing.
yeah. I think for the most part, people just live their lives, and they don't really like thinking about the implications of choosing to do a traditional thing versus a non-traditional thing. And so, or I guess a simpler way of saying is most people just go with the flow.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes going with the flow can hinder you, and maybe it hinders society, but people don't want to admit it because it would be too much work to change the flow anyway. But then it's like they're going to force you to change the flow. Like, think about QR codes. How long have humans thought that QR codes were going to be a thing? It wasn't until COVID, and they uh, literally, human behavior changed overnight, basically. Something that would have never happened, like going to La Carreta,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or going to Versailles and scanning a QR code was not something I thought would be easily transitioned into. But look, it happened. So, I'm sorry, what was the question? Forcing human behavior, I think, was the answer I was trying to.
Yeah, yeah. We were talking about your experience with uh, changing to political science, then philosophy, and your
Oh, because most people just go with the flow. Yeah,
utilitarianism.
but most people
Yeah.
just go with the flow. So, I like to think you should go with the flow until you realize that it's just like not going to work. The moment you
Right.
start doubting, like, I don't know, I always like try to trust my gut on decisions like that. I don't like to think about possibly being wrong. Although
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you are, you can't go into making every decision thinking that, oh, I'm going to be wrong in this instance. So
That's true. Yeah. You have to be okay with your educated guess
yes.
and just move past it. Um, I want to talk to you more about the the ape. I was trying to remember its name.
The Board Ape Yacht Club. Yes.
That's okay. Yeah,
Okay, so the
that's what.
board. Okay, so to transition towards the Board Ape Yacht Club, the Board Ape Yacht Club is a collection of 10,000 unique monkeys stored on the Ethereum blockchain, and each monkey is a membership to the Board Ape Yacht Club, which is a community of like-minded individuals who. So the lore goes that 10 years from now, in 2032, there are a collection of 10,000 monkeys who all got filthy rich 10 years ago in this era now,
Mm-hmm.
because it takes place in 2032. There's 10,000 of them that got filthy rich off their investments, and now all they do is hang out at the yacht club because they're bored. They're part of the Board Ape
Okay.
Yacht Club. That's the name of the collection, the Board Ape Yacht Club. So all they do is hang out at the yacht club. And so so the collection came out in late April or late March. I'm getting roasted right now because I don't actually know the exact date, but it happened
Approximately.
approximately 4 months ago, and it has just gained a level of notoriety within the space because of it changed a lot of things about the way NFT drops were held. So the way you think of like uh, a Yeezy drop or a Michael Jordan Air
Mm-hmm.
Force drop, where the kids are lined up outside the sneaker store to buy
Mm-hmm.
sneakers. There's people lined up ready to mint the NFTs. So usually when an NFT project would launch, it would launch at 0.01 Ethereum. And then after the first 1,000 sold, then it would go to 0.03, and then after another 1,000, 0.05, and then 0.1, and then 5, and then 1 Ethereum for every NFT. That was known in the community as a FOMO ramp, like a fear of missing out ramp. So as people were buying in, the price was going up, and you had to FOMO in, because if you didn't buy it now, it was going to be more expensive, guaranteed by the next one. Before you know it, like, it was so expensive, it was so expensive, it would cost literally an Ethereum to get into the. So what the Bored Ape Yacht Club did was they removed the FOMO ramp, 0.08 for every NFT. That was a huge dynamic shift. Then they also added the whole aspect of being able to join a community of like-minded individuals, the apes, and having a section in their Discord and then also on their website where you can only access that section if you had an ape in your wallet. So that was kind of like the premise of the Bored Ape Yacht Club when they made it. And it's now just gained so much notoriety as well because so many people have joined it. Since I joined, LaMelo Ball has joined, Des Bryant has joined, this guy, Menakis, he's a Denver Broncos football player.
That's cool.
No, there's more people there. Steph Curry just joined the other day, and there's more.
So each person has an ape?
An ape is like having the membership. It's like having the pin or the card that gives you the access to a certain club. So then, for being a member to the club, you are entitled to benefits like receiving airdrops, which is like when someone the club will just send something to your wallet. So I've gotten a dog airdrop and a mutant ape airdrop. So the dog and the ape and the mutant, the dog is a companion to my ape. The mutant is a tier 2 membership to the yacht club. So they recently just basically created an additional, it's I think right now at about 16,000 additional memberships to the club.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and they sold out immediately. So they came out 4 months ago. They are now worth, in secondary sales, because of that 2% dynamic that I told you about. Every time one resells, they make a 2%. They've made $1 billion. Yes, $1 billion, or I think just under $1 billion. I think by the time anyone watches this in the future, it's well over $1 billion they've made in 4 months. So I would be very, very surprised if a Bored Ape Yacht Club island is not in the works or already exists and they're just waiting for the announcement. Like the island, where you can only get to the island if you have an ape. Yes, exactly.
And then it's going to keep growing and growing and growing.
Yes. It already is. So for us to be for you to even want to ask me that question is already so crazy. Like, it's a crazy space.
That's so cool. I wanted to ask you, what is the risk of somebody like taking your stuff, like taking your ape?
Okay. Yeah. You have a safe in your room or wherever you keep. There's 3 types of wallets. There's a custodial wallet, which is when someone else holds your value for you. So this is like Coinbase or Robinhood. If you were to buy Bitcoin or Ethereum on Coinbase or Robinhood, you don't own your private keys, which is just a fancy way of saying the master key for your safe. You don't own that if you use Coinbase or Robinhood. Then there are hot wallets, which are wallets that you own the master key, but when you generated that master key, that wallet was connected to the internet. So theoretically, it's compromised. Your master key is compromised. That's all you need. And the master key is just 12 words. It's like it's a string of numbers that like if you were to download the wallet app and put in those 12 numbers on this computer, it would show up and everything in your safe is there because that's the key to open the safe. And you go to another computer and you put those same numbers, you open the safe, right? It's the way to access your value is that string of numbers, which is represented by different wallets with 12 words. So then when you're using a hot wallet like Metamask, when you generate those 12 words, you were connected to the internet because it's on your computer, and it's safe. It's relatively safe, but it's not the most secure way. Then comes in the cold wallets. That is a little. It looks like a USB. It's a little device, and it'll generate the 12 words on there.
So it's a physical thing.
It's a physical
that you hold
device
on your hands.
Yeah, and it looks literally like a USB. I would have brought mine to show you, and it was like, and it generates the 12 words, and on there, instead of being connected to the internet like your hot wallet on your computer. It generates the 12 words there. You write it on a piece of paper. You don't put it on your phone. Or you don't take pictures of it because you don't want it anywhere digitally. That's why you bought it. And then,
I see.
So that's like, that right there is like the safest way because you have the hardware wallet and then you have the 12 words written on a physical piece of paper. You fold it. You put it in a safe. You make multiple copies of it. You give one to your grandma and whatever.
Yeah.
You put them away.
Old school.
Old school. And, well, it's not old school. That is the proper way of doing it because this is what Bitcoin and Ethereum was made to do, like so that you could own your assets. You're not giving out your
there's no middleman.
There's no bank involved, right? You are your bank. You're the safe. All you need is those 12 words or that string of numbers, and that's how you open that up. Now, it generates it the first time, and then after you set a password so that you don't have to type in 12 words every single time. But you lose that little USB stick. You buy another one, you put the 12 words, and you're back in.
Okay.
So then, the security aspect, how easy is it for someone to just take everything you have? In Coinbase and Robinhood, near zero, you would probably have to send it to someone. You would have to get scammed, and you would have to send it to someone. In most cases, I would say it's user error. It's right. You actually you made an error that you compromised the security of your assets.
Right.
On Coinbase and Robinhood level, you literally sent it to them. Robinhood, you can't really send those assets yet, I think, so you don't have to worry. But on Coinbase, like someone says, "Oh, send me 1 Ethereum so I can send you 5." Well, then I'm sorry, but natural selection has run its course. I'm so sorry, but it's very likely 0 if you're on a custodial thing that you could get compromised unless you literally send it to someone. Then if you're on a hot wallet, there is where if you download a virus or something happens, you click on a link that you're not supposed to. This is why you don't click links, you don't answer DMs, you don't trust, always verify. You don't click any links, you don't download any documents, you especially not on the same computer that you have these wallets connected to. You don't like it depends what the level of, everyone's a target because it's not necessarily easier, but it's such a new technology that it's easier to make people fall for things because everything's so new. So there's links, click here, do this, do that. And like, sometimes it's like some clever things that some people, as knowledgeable as you are, I've seen stories that they just fall for it because you're in the moment, you don't understand, and everything's new. So I don't even remember where I was going with. So, don't trust, always verify. Don't trust, always verify. And that's on a hot wallet. So you get a virus and you download something you're not supposed to, and you could compromise the key, which is saved cache somewhere on your computer because it was generated on your computer.
So you have a computer that handles all this stuff, and should you use that computer only for that?
That's what I was going to say. It depends on the level of value that you have connected to your wallets, but the best operation security would always be to do that because you don't have, like, you put $100 into some token that you have hope for 7 years from now, but then 7 years from now that $100 could be like 25,000, over 25,000, like more, depending on like where you put your money. So it's just better to practice that level of operation security from the get-go so that you don't have to stay up thinking late at night whether you're going to wake up and your assets aren't going to be in your wallet. And then, sometimes like you just leave your computer on, it downloads a virus, things happen, and boom, everything's gone because they got to the 12 words that were stored on your computer. So that's a hot wallet. Then the 12, then the cold wallet is near impossible, but that's why it's more likely. Like, I've seen some recent stories happening of the hardware wallet because people think that just because it's a hardware wallet that it's like, it is more secure, but it's only as secure as you handle the security aspect of it. Like you might let your guard down around things concerning your hardware wallet because you think it's safer on there, but like, you click yes, yes, yes a couple times in the wrong places, and your stuff is wiped as well. So again,
And if it's gone, like let's say
it's
one
gone.
of those horror,
It's gone.
oh shit,
No, it's gone. Yeah, for
there's
the most
no
part.
way of getting that back.
Depending on what you're
You
talking
can't
about.
call someone and be like, help me.
So if let's say you have one Ethereum, and so I don't even want to talk about my JPEG. So let's talk about a hypothetical person has a frog picture in there as an NFT, and that frog picture is worth $25,000, and that frog picture, they somehow compromise the security of their hot wallet, and the 12 words are read by a hacker, and they're able to siphon off the picture of that frog into another one. They sell it for the 25K. Boom, it's on the secondary market. It's out into the blockchain. The only thing that you can do is reach out to OpenSea and some of the centralized NFT marketplaces so that they can block that NFT from being sold. And in some cases, the NFT community will give you back what you have, or because they'll feel bad. And some people, when you're dealing with like these large amounts of money, like, I mean, like, I don't know, some people are in different situations, but some people are like, I don't know what I would do. It depends the situation, but I've seen like stories where like you lose your NFT and then it's sold on the secondary market, and then the thief made his money and he's off into the night. But then the person that bought it actually just gives back the NFT for no money, just because that's like what. Yeah, and we're talking about like,
and they lost their money.
25,000, more than 25,000. We're talking about like $50,000 more.
That's a good person.
Well, and that's what is amazing about this community, is like that's why we exist.
That's impressive.
Because it's what, and I'm not saying it's going to be every case. So I'm saying it's probably unlikely.
No, but the fact that it has happened,
has happened.
It's impressive.
And it's not like laughable sums of money. Like we're talking about like tens of thousands of dollars worth of.
Yeah, it's not $100.
No. We're talking about like a lot of money, and one of the like. It's crazy because like I would say like, oh, some of my friends, what I would consider friends in this world, in the NFT world, that I don't even know if their name on Twitter is their actual name, but I know them as their monkey profile picture. Mm-hmm. And like one of them, like one of my first interactions with him was because he had his wallet was compromised. He fell for a scam or clicked a link or something happened to his wallet. We're talking about like his life savings drained, like crazy stuff, bro. I mean, like that's the thing about the NFT community. Like they came together. He minted an NFT. People bought the NFT to give him some starting funds, and then by buying and selling NFTs, has literally worked his way up more, like through like this world. And it's like this life-changing stuff. It's like I see it every day, like life-changing for me. Yeah, sure, but again, I it's not about the money for me, but seeing how it changes people's lives is what like is so amazing to see. Because like my life has changed. I wouldn't necessarily say like some amazing change. It's just giving me more breathing room, right? Because I already saw myself being successful like that. This is, if anything, like a stone in the path on that way. Yeah. And it maybe it's elevated me a bit more, but again, it's the conviction of being able to see what was going on and saying, yes, I want to go into this project, the Bored Ape Yacht Club, because I see what's being built here. And like when you say like you're talking to me and like, oh, I'm making all these points, it's like everyone in the space is thinking like this, like, and that's why I'm saying it's like I finally found like a group
you found
of
your tribe.
No, it's unreal, and like then it's like the things that we talk about like in that space is just like, it's like yes, it's a really amazing community for people who have felt more connected to like each other like throughout life, and understanding that there's like a bigger purpose and like a collective thing being worked on. Right. That's what this is. I think that's what like how I can best describe the feeling of community. It's like being in a club that it's being in a club in the Bored Ape Yacht Club, and not just the Bored Ape Yacht Club, because I think this is, and when I say the first thing you look at is aesthetics. Does it look good? The second thing you look at is the community and the project's roadmap. Where is this community? What are they doing? Where are they going from here? How can I help, and how will they help me? Right? So that's what I saw. Analyze the Bored Ape Yacht Club, and then after that is the authenticity of it. How much authenticity will I generate for myself by joining this tribe? Now, joining the Bored Ape Yacht Club now is like an instant like elevation. Back when I joined, it was, but not the level of notoriety that it's gotten to now, right? So there's going to be other NFTs that have that as well. But then after the authenticity, then the last thing that you look at is the return on investment. Like how will this be a good financial investment? Or I personally don't look at it like that at all, but because you do, then I would say that's probably the last thing that you consider, because as a brand and as a business or organization or influencer individual, sometimes the return on investment is baked into the transaction of just getting into the NFT space and changing your profile picture to a certain NFT, right? Because you join the CryptoPunks, or you join the Bored Ape Yacht Club, and immediately you're in this club of all these like-minded individuals. Like Arizona Ice Tea bought an ape the other day. They aped in. I am now an Arizona Ice Tea fan for life. I already was, but now it's like, why would I drink any tea that's not Arizona Ice Tea? As an ape, right? Not just as an ape, but then also as just an enthusiast in the NFT space. What are they? And the great thing about the apes is you own the intellectual property like I own my ape and its intellectual property. It's actually right here. This is my ape. So I can make stickers. I can put him on t-shirts. I can put him on any.
So your ape in itself is
a brand.
It's an entity besides
within
the group
a greater collection.
That he exactly.
So think about when one of them hits the Mickey sphere of being a household name. Like when Arizona Iced Tea shows up and you go to 7-Eleven and there's an ape on an Arizona Iced Tea, and it becomes a common thing that you see. The entire collection grows in value, right? As everyone gets elevated with that, because now it's reaching mainstream. Right now, they're at auction. There's a lot of 101 of the apes and 101 of the dogs being auctioned off at Sotheby's in the U.S. And there's going to be four apes that are going to be auctioned off at Christie's September 17th in Hong Kong, the art house. So it's like, if I were to print my ape and put him on a t-shirt, that t-shirt has a piece of art from a collection of art that is approved by literally the biggest art collectors and art houses in the world. So it's like instant value. And then what's crazy to think about is like when the Mickey, and it reaches the Mickey level, right? When Netflix makes a show and there's an ape in the show that's a main character, and that ape starts showing up everywhere across merchandising and just in mainstream culture, that's when the real value. So then, not that you ask, but for my ape, I'm creating a brand around the ape. His name is Florida Man. His name and like a story around it, right? Because these are the things that you have to create more value, not just for yourself, but then this is where I say, how can you bring value to the community, right? Because I'm into like content creation and video making and storytelling and these things. So how can I apply my skills to my ape to then create a story around my ape and like a brand and identity around him to then create value the same way that you would do for any other brand, but for your ape. So then my ape, I have a Twitter for him, and we just crossed like 2,500 followers like yesterday or the day before, or I think we might just cross it now. We're somewhere in the 2,500 range, and we've gone really fast. That started like midway through June, and I'm building a community of people who like Florida Man. Like that's the name of my
so
ape.
Cool.
Because I own the domain. So like if you were gonna get into NFTs, there's a couple projects that I would recommend, and one of them would be ENS, and Ethereum Name Services, which is basically like a .com but a .eth. So like if you wanted to send me $5 of Ethereum, you could send it to mrcobas.eth, or you could send it to floridaman.eth, or bancuano.eth, or cafeconleche.eth. And buying up these names. Buying up these names.
I love it.
Yeah, but buying up these names is like buying up. Imagine owning cafeconleche.com.
That's
or like
yeah.
pastelito.com or guayabera.com.
Right.
There's something that's what the ENS domain. So I bought floridaman.eth, and I just thought it was funny. And then I kind of embody the spirit of like, shut up, like don't tell me what to do. And that's kind of like what Florida Man is. So then I thought it'd be funny in that art world of like, oh, the fanciness and all that. There's one of the monkeys is just not a degenerate, but he embodies the spirit of Florida Man. So, like there's an NFT that I'm working on that is like it's like a custom made for the front page cover of like a newspaper from the day that Florida Man eats that woman's face on the expressway, which is I think where we went viral.
Yes.
Yeah. So then with my ape on it and like their stuff, so that would be like building a story around my ape and adding layers of like story to him.
That
and then
is so
the brand,
cool.
everything I tweet is in the spirit of I don't give a fuck what you think. Like this is Florida Man. Sorry for cursing, but
No, I mean
yes,
it exemplifies it perfectly.
yes.
That's amazing. What about if somebody takes the image of your ape
Okay.
and like
So you're talking
let's
about what
say
just happened the other day?
yeah, or to take it even further, like let's say I put your ape on my mug.
Well,
What
you're more
happens?
than welcome to do that.
Really?
Yeah. Well, you yourself. Are more
Oh
than welcome
no,
to do
I
that.
just
Yeah, it gets into the realm of questioning of like how open source, right? Because let's compare two projects because this is a great topic. The CryptoPunks, which were the first ever profile picture, and you've probably seen them. They're like the 8-bit digital like profile picture. Regardless, the owners of those NFTs don't own the intellectual property to that image. The ape owners own the intellectual property to the ape images. So already there's a distinct like valuation creation thing. Something is different about these two projects, which is one reason that the Bored Apes are so popular is because I own my ape, so I could run and do a million
right.
or whatever I want with my ape, and that's what everyone's doing. So it's just like all these massive storylines are being built, and everything is being built in the ape world versus Larva Labs owns the entire collection of this 10,000. These are the most popular. They're the most sought after. This is like buying a. This is a bank. Like, I don't even know how to compare the two. They're just so vastly different. These are controlled. The intellectual property is controlled by the creator of the collection versus this one. The creator of the collection basically sold you the rights to each individual ape when you bought it.
Right, and now you have creative control.
I have creative control, and so that's what I'm doing. I'm sorry. What was the question? I'm sorry.
We were talking about like what happens when somebody
When
takes like if I put
ape,
your
yes.
ape on my mug.
Yeah. So you can have permission to do that, right? So, and for the
thank
most
you.
part, yeah, for the most part, I think people, it's like a great question because it's like it just happened the other day.
I saw that.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking
Yeah,
you
so-
because I never thought that someone would actually do that.
Yes.
But then again, I'm a little naive when it comes to that stuff.
Here's the thing. It's very simple to see who actually owns something or not because you can literally just go to OpenSea.io/Mr. Cobas and see that my wallet contains Bored Ape 2417, right? So if someone so basically to fill in the listeners, what happened was I get a text message and they're like, hey, someone's using your ape as their profile picture, which I just thought was hilarious that they would actually go out of their way to send me a message saying like, hey, someone is using your thing without, right? So
Without your consent.
So I thought that was funny. That it's like we're leaving the stratosphere. Like we're entering like this whole crazy world where it's like, so then I immediately, as Florida Man, go to him and I'm like, hey bro, any specific reason you're using this my ape as your profile picture? And then he's like, hey Javi, I'm doing good, thanks for asking. Like I'm like, dude, like what are you talking about? So then bro, basically he tries to tell me, bro, as far as my understanding, you own the certification of the image, not the image itself. And I'm like, dude, I don't even know what that means. Just like, and he was like, I'll delete it out of respect to you. While he was sending me this, I was already in the process, because I'm extra like this, of filing the actual, like I was on the Facebook support page, filling out the DMCA strike notice or takedown notice.
Okay.
Because it is intellectual property that he owns.
Right.
I own the intellectual property, and it was actually that interaction that I already had a huge following on Twitter and like presence on Twitter. So then I started building out the Instagram one because it's easier to report. Like you just say it's someone I know, and then you tag, oh, it's they're pretending to be Bored Ape 24/17. It's easier to do it that way versus having to go onto the Facebook page and file like a manual DMCA strike notice. We could have all just spam reported, hey, he's pretending to be this other account. But my ape didn't have an account at that point, so there was nowhere to say there's someone else who's trying to be them. But yeah, I mean, they can't pretend to be me unless I give them permission, right?
So there's protocol protecting you. If someone were to take your ape and like put it on a mug, you can say.
I mean, like, here's the thing. Here's the thing. If my ape were to get like, that's the thing. If the apes were to get so popular, yes. I mean, yes. To answer your question, yes.
Okay.
Now, if they were to get so popular, if Florida Man, the only way I see that happening is like if Florida Man becomes so popular that then. At Budguero, I made a comic book. No, I'm serious. I made a comic book with my ape, and he was wearing some guayabera, not a guayabera, but he was wearing like some Cuban, like he was in the field and he was picking cigars. And there's an image of that. Mm-hmm. And then at the Budguero, they get that image and they print it on T-shirts, like they do to Mickey Mouse and SpongeBob at Chinatown and all that stuff. So it's like that can never be avoided. That, if anything. It would compromise the brand because it would be like, oh, this isn't like at the highest quality standard that I would probably want for the type of products that would be produced at that level, given we get there. But then also it is building value because it's like more eyeballs are on the apes and all these things are happening. So again, if that were to happen, then it's probably I already have some level of success and Florida Man himself has some notoriety within enough notoriety to make people want to print him on bootlegged shirts and cups and stuff. So
right, that's super cool.
Right. So why else would it get to that point? Unless you yourself wanted to make a shirt and put. I
mean, I'll do it. Yeah. I like Florida Man. Yeah, I think he's super cool.
Yes, Florida Man is really cool. I don't know if you've seen the derivative. I put like Mickey Mouse ears on him, and he's holding like a popsicle from like Disney. Like a Mickey Mouse popsicle.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, no, it's good. I'll post it on Instagram. I'll send it to you after.
That's probably why I haven't seen it.
Yes.
Because you haven't posted it on there.
Yes.
That is super, super cool. So, would you say people can make a living this way? Make a
living?
Yeah.
People can make lifetimes. Yes. No.
That's a lot to consider.
Well, no. Yes. Again, people are we are melting the faces of haters. The energy that.
What does that mean? I feel like that should be a quote on a shirt or something. We're melting the faces of haters.
Yes, the energy.
Sounds deep.
Yeah, right? Yeah. How the energy that's being used to build the metaverse is the hatred and the doubt trying to be cast by the haters. The more they doubt, the more we build, and that's why more and more we build more and I say we. It's like I've been in NFTs since June, and I've been in crypto since 2017. But there's people that have been in this world since like I remember in high school at Gables in TOK. This kid gives a presentation on Bitcoin and why Bitcoin will be the biggest thing in the world and why we should all consider mining Bitcoin and why it's going to be big. And I will never forget sitting in that TOK class and thinking, hey, this is pretty cool, but I'm too lazy. I literally remember thinking, this is too boring. This is too much. I'll probably regret this later. And it's probably now, like Vujade remembering what happens already, like remembering something that happens in the future. It's probably me all this time now in the future, thinking back to that moment and thinking, Javi, should have just paid attention.
You were at a crossroads.
I was at a crossroads.
And you were not paying attention.
I was not paying attention back then. No, my third eye was not open at all.
Yeah.
At that moment, I did not, and I remember I think I was even sitting for some reason at the front of the class. I don't remember. I was either sitting all the way at the back at my seat or at the front of the class that day. I think I was actually sitting at the front left, and I remember looking at it, the projector right there, and literally thinking like I'm on my iPad or something, like playing a game. I'm like, it's too much.
Oh my God.
Bitcoin.
That's so interesting, yes. Right? How those experiences happen. And sometimes you're aware enough in the moment to go, this is probably important, but I can't.
Yes. you can't say something or do something or act in a certain way. And then it's like, yeah, I mean, we could get into the question of like, is this a video game or not? But, and then,
You mean life?
yeah, life. And that's what the metaverse every day, exploring NFTs
Yeah.
and more, it's like we get more into the whole gamification of life. And it's like, we're just getting more and more into like life is a video game. We just haven't technology hasn't been able to fully like embrace,
Right.
or we haven't been able to fully develop everything that's been needed to fully gamify every single aspect of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, like you're on Google Maps and you turn and normally you just keep going down Bird Road and you turn left on 67th to go down to 24th. But this time Google Maps is telling you to turn right and to take another route because you'll gain some experience points, because then what you're actually Google Maps is like Google Maps or whatever mapping service AI is doing this would then like you turn right and you gain 500 experience, because now all the traffic jam because there was an accident over here, and so it's diverting everyone, and to do a loop that'll take an extra 30 seconds so that a truck can come down and be able to replace that faster. But because everything is gamified and you're gaining these things, you're not thinking about like, oh, it'll just be faster if I turn left and then I could just do, and you're not thinking for yourself. You're just being fed what to do and how to do it for the benefit of gaining these experience tokens or whatever it is that you're going to gain for completing the mission that you're being assigned to at that moment. Like someone could say we're already doing that, which just not as fast and as optimal and as efficient as it could be. And that's why I say technology just hasn't fully been, we haven't been able to fully embrace it.
So do you think that's dangerous?
What?
You think
is it
that's
dangerous? I mean, I think it's inevitable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
But is there a way to go about it that would cause the least damage?
I think everyone should buy property, and Bitcoin, and self-defense tools. I think that's what everyone should do, and focus on building yourself and your family. I agree with you.
I'm not laughing because I think it's funny. I'm just laughing because the way you put it, it sounds like you're being...
What? No, I'm just being realistic.
Right. I was going to say, if someone doesn't know you, it sounds like you're being sarcastic, but you're being super realistic.
Oh, no, I'm being serious. Yeah. No, I know. It sounds like I'm being sarcastic. Well,
but you're not.
I'm not. But then that's also like, I find it amusing because it is so serious.
Right.
You're able to see the truth in it, right? Mm-hmm. Versus like, oh, someone could see that it's a joke. It's like, it's not a joke. You need to buy property. You need to move in, be able to defend your property. Mm-hmm. And then the only way to store value in the best way to store value right now is Bitcoin. And I say Bitcoin, maybe soon that will be replaced by Ethereum or some hard assets.
Right.
But for the meme, it's property, Bitcoin, and we're on a podcast, so I'll say self-defense tools, but usually I say another word.
I think we get it.
Yes.
You can say it. Freedom of speech.
Yes.
Why not?
Yes. Freedom of speech.
Yeah. If there's one that we stand for here, it's that one. You can say whatever you need to say.
Yes. Well, that's also the beauty of the decentralization. You won't have to worry about censorship, and I won't have to worry about using these euphemisms for these words that it actually just makes it harder for people who aren't educated to understand what you're saying, because you have to learn these other things and to like so many extra layers. The smoke screen is only being thickened by censorship. It's not being improved.
Exactly. Because even if you're educated, when you have to manipulate language to such a level...
Yeah, to get an idea across, it's just not effective.
It's not effective. And it just creates this other whole set of psychological relationships that you have with ideas that become futile.
Yes.
And it's a big problem.
Yes, when there's a certain group of words that you can't say together because it represents something that someone else deems bad, who are they to deem something bad or not?
That's the big question.
Yeah, so then in the NFT world, you don't have to worry about this because it's all stored on the blockchain, and we don't have to worry about censorship. We don't have to worry about being taken down. Odyssey.com, Library TV, like these YouTube alternatives, you upload the video and they're stored on the interplanetary file system, right? It's a decentralized AWS, Amazon Web Services. We don't have to worry about oppressive regimes coming in and deleting your
content because you say something that goes against what they want. Yes. We don't have to worry about these things anymore. Well, we still have to worry about them in the moment. But again, the space is being built by the energy of the doubters and the haters. And so the more you say no, it can never work, you will always be under our control. The more we say no, we will resist and we will not comply and we will keep building and we will win because we already did. We're just living it now.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Where can you pinpoint someone that's very new to all this and they're interested, they want to get started? What would be like the easiest starting point for them?
Yeah. So if you're saying Bitcoin and Ethereum, like blockchain and crypto, there's probably 48 to 96 hours of research and learning to do.
Yeah, it's overwhelming.
Yeah, no, it's very overwhelming. That's probably the amount before you get to like a place where you're like, okay, I can conversate about this. And
would you ever consider doing like workshops for beginners?
It's that I'm not even the most well versed or the best teacher in these things. Like I'm a big believer in just YouTube it. I'm not even joking. Like right now, you're watching this right now. Open a new tab and type in what is Bitcoin, and there's 50,000 documentaries, an hour long each, that all sum up the Bitcoin history in 1,000 different ways, and each of those 1,000 different ways 1,000 times better than I could have possibly done it. So if you're interested, I would say just whatever it is that you heard me talk about, just type it into YouTube and say, what is this? Like, what is NFTs? What are NFTs?
Start there.
How to make an NFT? How to mint an NFT? Like these questions, you just type them into Google. So it's like you have to want to research, and that's why it's like when I consider myself a communications researcher, I was able to find these things because I was looking for these things anyway, because I'm always constantly on YouTube, and like while I hate reading, and I can't stand like reading like a long format like book, I'll watch a 3-hour video at 2 times speed, and I'll watch that 3-hour video in an hour and a half. I watch everything at 2 times speed. So like a 10-minute video becomes 5 minutes for me. So in 30 minutes, I can consume 6 5-minute videos or 6 10-minute videos because they're each sped up to 5 minutes each. So I just sit there and I just consume content. And primarily on YouTube. And TikTok's like not educative enough in the space, I think. So YouTube is really where I would go to look for the long format educational content. Twitter is good for the community aspect, seeing where people are engaged. And if you do not have Discord, it's like a voice messaging app. The best way I could describe it is like kind of like Facebook pages on Facebook groups on steroids, where you can join groups, and inside the groups they have voice channels and video channels where you could like voice and call, and like text channels and like different channels for different announcements and different topics. So Discord. So usually when you find a project, it'll be you find a project on Twitter. And now again, if you're getting into the space from zero knowledge whatsoever, you need to literally spend either 48 to 96 hours on Bitcoin and Ethereum and blockchain, or 48 to 96 hours on NFTs. Ideally, you spend it first on Bitcoin and Ethereum, and you understand the technological aspects and why financially this is going to be so big. And then you spend time researching how artists and creators have adopted the technology for their marketplaces and what they do for what they create.
Right. Have you been able to get like older generation, like your parents, involved?
In crypto, yes. Because I think it's easier for them to understand the concept of hedging against inflation and the concept of like a digital gold or like a digital silver. I think that's easier for them to grasp somewhat. I mean, after seeing my slim success or my somewhat success, it becomes inevitable, right? I mean, it's like, right?
Yeah,
because
they
like,
see it works.
No, it's exactly. They can't deny that it works. So they obviously have their feet wet somewhat, but they're always skeptical, and because you naturally you don't understand it. Like so, Yeah, I mean, them, the oldest I've gotten is like a 55. Yeah, we work together. And so they, like, people I work with, my friends of mine are easier to get into this. But the older generation has become more open to it, I think. Now, when we get into the actual boomer generation, that is like closed off somewhat. My aunt is the only one that she's like, she understands it, and she's gotten into it somewhat, but like, it's only because like my sister and I have forced her hand into it. Like, it's not because she like has wanted to do it out of her own like will. But she'll send me like articles about like Bitcoin and stuff, like rumors about like China and like why they like all the fear, uncertainty and doubt. It's a term, FUD, FUD, and it stands for fear, uncertainty and doubt. She'll send me all the FUD like that gets to the surface level of the mainstream, and she'll start sending me those articles. But it's really cool to see. Yeah, it's really cool to onboard people. And again, the onboarding is it's a delicate situation because you don't want for people to come in and get wrecked and then have a bad taste in their mouth. So that's why I always say first thing you look at is aesthetics, and then community, and then the authenticity aspect, and then you think about the return on investment, because normally those three things first will determine whether or not the return on investment will be there. But coming into it saying like, oh, I want to just throw in $1,500 and like 15x it in like a month because I saw that these things did it and like blah blah, and it's like this space is going to welcome you. It's going to take your money, leave you wrecked, and then you've gained nothing, you've contributed nothing, like you've just wasted your time and your money. So if you're coming into this space, you should be coming in with a mentality of how can I build from, around, or evolve what is already exists. So we're talking about like probably over 100 hours after the researching aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you start right now, and this airs whenever this airs, then you probably have like a week. Within a week and a half, you should have a good grasp of Bitcoin and Ethereum. 2 weeks. And then within a month to 2 months, you should already have a good grasp of NFTs. If you don't have a good grasp of NFTs 7 weeks from now, then you just either didn't care, which is okay, that's fine, or you just didn't do a good enough job, which is just something to consider. I mean, right. You're probably not watching this right now, but people who are listening to this, you need to like stick through it. I mean, like there's highs and there's lows. Like we just went through a really high in the NFT marketplace. Like we're talking about like mind-blowing numbers were being shown daily, hourly, like multiple times an hour, mind-blowing numbers. And we just hit like a kind of like, we call it like a little lull period in it where people, now the paper hands are showing. So paper hands and diamond hands, you know that one?
Mm-mm.
So diamond hands is people who have diamond hands, hardened hands who don't let go of the bag. They keep carrying the bag. They don't sell.
Okay.
They're holding the bag. They're diamond hands. Then there's paper hands. The moment they see those dollar signs, either go up or down, they're paper hands. They sell. They let go. They paper hand. So
it's interesting.
So now that there's a lull, the numbers aren't these crazy hourly minute like numbers. Boom, the paper hands start showing, and so everything starts dropping until like we see that just like the evaluation for these things is like too low. So I can't do it anymore, but other whales come in and they start buying up the floor, and it rises because they know it's like in the Bored Ape Yacht Club, like it's a 7-figure club. It's going to be it's going to cost more than $1 million to join the club.
That's insane.
In less than 10 years.
That's
Why?
Amazing.
Because of the network that has been created in the club. The people who are in the club early were the people building everything in this space. So not only they're huge in that regard, but then the people coming in now, when the cheapest membership is like over $100,000, the people coming in now are only those ballers. So then only the players coming in, the network is now it's impossible for the network to get weaker. It's only going to get stronger and stronger. And so this isn't a network like a Bitcoin security aspect. This is like a social network aspect, like tied into that. So it's like being able to verify that it's kind of like being in a frat. It's like you're in the Bored Ape Yacht Club, the BAYC, instead of being
community.
It's the community, and that community is there. I don't even know where. How did we get back?
How did we get here? I don't know, but this is super, super interesting. I think we were talking about if you're like a beginner.
Oh, to get in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do your research. So what I was saying. Oh, the authenticity. I don't. But if you're a beginner, then you're not looking at the Bored Ape Yacht Club. But the Bored Ape Yacht Club is what these other communities, and it's what you should aspire. So like what they did to build from what they had, where there was the FOMO ramp, the Bored Ape Yacht Club took a week to sell out. A week to sell out the 10,000 memberships. We have projects launched today that sell out in 5 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying because that's like, oh, look how much money they made instantly, but it's like, it's a scary time because like things could just disappear and anonymous teams could just disappear overnight, and there could be code written in that a certain NFT just goes to zero, vanishes. The team vanishes overnight, and we've seen it happen.
So what happens to your money?
Well, it's not that anything happens to your money. You've already spent your money. Now the team that was supposed to deliver something, or not, because some are like literally buy this flower and it means nothing. It's just a flower. You just buy the flower because you like it or you like the art style or something. It's not because like there's anything being associated to it. So some projects are like this. So people will see, oh, the Bored Ape Yacht Club is the number two NFT project in the world. Like I need to get on the next one. Like, oh, this one's only 0.01. This one's only $150 to join. I could just buy like 5 of these and it'll go, because look, these are the penguins or the other things. And so, and I'm gonna get some. I don't even want to name like actual animals because now I know the pudgies are like in the comments. So it's like there's another animal and it's like, oh, and so everyone jumps into this animal and then they jump into the other animal and then other people jump and there's only 200,000 wallets connected to OpenSea, 200,000. So it's like. It's not a lot of people in the space, so it's like people are jumping into one project, then jumping into another, and then literally get, and there probably will be some value in. I'm just saying, do your own research. There might be some value in owning some of the projects from this era, like the gold rush, like because right now there's the historical aspect of what's being created. It's like being able to own one of the nuggets from the California Gold Rush certified by one of the certain print shops of the thing, right? Because like what Gary Vee says about this space, it's like being able to buy an NFT now is like being able to buy like a cave drawing, right? Because it's like the technology is being developed right now, and the art is being created now using the technology. You're not just buying the first Ferrari ever, you're buying one of the first cars that ever existed.
Right? Ford was the first car?
Well, yeah, you're buying one of the first Fords ever. Like one of the first 10,000. The Model Ts. Or again, like you're crowdsourcing one of the first Superman comics. Like the first Superman series. You're crowdfunding. And now all the characters that are going to be in that Punks comic, to bring it back to that, the Punks comic, all the characters that are going to be in that are randomly generated through code and then airdropped. So literally the characters in the comics will be owned by the people who funded the comic. They will own, like, imagine owning the first ever, and when I say the first, I literally mean the first image of Superman. The very first one. That exists right now. It was given out to people in, not the Superman version, but the Punks comic. I think they're called the Meta Heroes version of that is happening right now. It will be huge, and it will be more huge when AR and VR comes out. And so like right above your head it says your name with whatever tagline you put, and maybe your little avatar is showing. So when you're walking down the street and you're walking down Miracle Mile, and across the street I'm walking down the street with my glasses on, and I have the Pokemon Go app open, and so above my head it says I'm level 28 in Pokemon Go, and I'm available to battle. And so then you could select, request battle. So then I'm walking, and then it says, Jenny would like to battle. Accept the battle, and I click no. But then it's like the meme in Pokemon. It's like you can't say no to another trainer who wants a battle. So you could click no, and then you literally battle in the street in AR. Right. That's the future that we're headed towards. And it's undeniable. I know there's people that think this is crazy, but this is happening in the next 10 years.
Yeah. Do you like sci-fi?
was, I mean, like, it's not, well, it's sci-fi. I mean, yeah, sure. Yes, it's cool.
Yeah, but you're like you don't read sci-fi or anything like that.
I watch sci-fi like Rick and Morty. Again, I'm not a reader. I'm not a reader like that.
Yeah.
So the extent of text and writing about sci-fi, like, so like, again, academia, the crossroads of everything, like NFTs. So it's like when I graduated in my undergrad, my independent study was about it was about the digital world, and it was independent study on aesthetics and whether or not there could exist a public digital world. Like, could the digital realm, could there be public spaces in a digital world? And so back then, it was argued, it's like back then it was like much harder to see what was going on because there was no way, like, at least from what I could see at the time, there was no clear way. And now looking back, there, like, I could have written like so much about NFTs and Ethereum in when I was writing that paper, but back then it was harder to see how it would happen. And I kind of knew blockchain and like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and this stuff would play into it, but I didn't really see it. Now it's much easier to see, oh yeah, of course there could be public digital spaces, because the public digital spaces would just be on the blockchain and you would own the property through the blockchain, and these things, it would be much easier to argue, because back then the argument was someone was trying to say, because the first cases of AR were Pokemon Go and Snapchat filters, and one of the very first ones was Jeff Koons. Do you know Jeff Koons, the artist, the Balloon Dogs? So the Balloon Dogs, he did like a partnership with Snapchat, and they went to Central Park and around the world, and you could point your Snapchat at the certain location, and you could walk around it, and everyone would be seeing the same Balloon Dog. Now, was that space public? Was that digital space public? That was the question. And maybe not that space, but then building on from that question, could there be digital public spaces?
Right.
And so the argument was just really, it was really long. It was like 20 pages or whatever. And it was basically like, yeah, of course there could be public digital spaces. Like, just because something is privately owned doesn't make it a private space. And I'm going to butcher this argument, so Javi from 2019 is probably cringing hard at Javi right now, but like, there's the concept of a bank. When you go into a bank and you go into it and there's art on the wall, that art is defined in the art world as public art, although it's held in a private. And so the real argument was whether public art could exist in a digital space that was the nature of the argument. I don't remember exactly, but whether art could be considered public even if it's in a private digital space. And so there was someone arguing no, and I was arguing that yes, they could, because like in the bank, like that's a private space that has public art in it, or vice versa. And then like the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. I'm sorry, I'm getting really this is like really off topic, but basically people decide what is art and what is not art, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then people define what is public and what is private themselves. Just because something is in a private space doesn't mean it's private. There could be public things in a private space. The Vietnam Veterans Memorial is on public property, and it's a public monument, and it's considered public art for both sides, because some people think it's public art, like think it's art because, oh, we're remembering all the fallen soldiers from Vietnam and blah, blah, blah. And then the other half thinks, no, this is art because, look, this is literally why we shouldn't go to war. Look, all these people died and for no reason. So both sides think there's art there, and it's in a private space, but it's still considered public art, versus there's like a case that I talked about in Chicago where they remodeled a corner of a public piece of land, and they did like this giant artwork on it with like the sidewalks doing all these loopy things. And it, at the end of the day, people, instead of taking the sidewalks that the architects had like carving out for them, they started walking along the grass, and you could see like paths of people that just didn't conform to what is considered public, what they tried to consider public art. But people rejected it and made their own. So it could be considered, maybe there's an argument to consider it art because of like, look, humans never conform or whatever, but the actual trying to make, this is a public space and we're making public art, people rejected it completely, versus we're making this private memorial that's not supposed to be considered art, and then yet people said, yes, there can be art. So what this long tangent was supposedly about was how, again, I'm always thinking about being on the edges of the metaverse. So I'm literally in 2019 talking about, for my like independent study, about how digital spaces can have public versions of them. There could be private digital spaces, but there can also be public digital spaces as well. And now it's even easier to argue in favor of that, like with games like Sandbox and Decentraland, where you can literally buy digital property, and while it's yours, you could choose to make it public. And they technically are public because you can go and visit Decentraland, or the full open world version of Sandbox isn't open yet, but you're going to go be able to and interact freely in those spaces. So they are public. They're like, no one can ban you from going to decentraland.org unless they ban your specific wallet. And then all you have to do is make a new wallet and you could go back in, or they block your phone and then you have to get a new phone, or they block your entire IP address in your house. So then you have to go to another location and do it. But it's the same thing as like, oh, Javi with long hair is a wanted individual and he cannot go to this specific place, right? I get a haircut and then I could go. Oh, but Javi's bald now, so he can't go here. Okay, so I get a wig and I do these things to alter my...
You kind of... You shift depending on the needs.
Yes.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, that's like the whole public and private digital spaces argument that I talked about in my undergrad. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm always at the edges of the metaverse.
That's amazing.
I'm always attempting to be, yes.
Yeah, and that's probably why you've been able to succeed, because you're trying to be ahead of the curve. You're trying to be a thinking man, and at the end of the day, that's all you can do. Do you have any other future projects coming up that you want to share with us?
Future projects? I would just say people should, if people want to follow me, they could follow me, Mr. Cobas, MRCOBAS, everywhere.
We'll have it linked down below.
Yeah, have it linked down below. You could also follow my ape, and I think it's probably way more interesting to follow him and see what he's up to at BoredApe2417 everywhere. So
he's on Instagram.
He's on Instagram. He's on Twitter.
Yeah.
Those two right now.
Yeah.
He will be on YouTube eventually and everything else, and you will see lots of Florida Man content coming.
Oh my god!
I made like 200.
I'm so excited for that.
No,
I think it's amazing.
It's going to be crazy. It will be crazy.
Well, thank you so much
Yes.
for sharing and providing a glimpse into this whole different world that most of us are still trying to grasp our mind around.
Yes. One last message. Yeah. Together we can short the US dollar. That's all by JPEGs. We can all short the US dollar.
Wow.
That's like an inside joke.
Yeah, you're going to have to explain that one to me later.
Yes.
But yeah, thank you. And to everybody listening, thank you so much for being here and for your support, and reach out to Javi for further insight, because you are so far out of everybody and not that I've spoken to many people about this, but you've been able to put it in ways that are easy to understand. So thank you.
Yes.